This is Making Stitches, and this time crochet designer, teacher and tech editor Jane Czaja shares her love of the craft.
To me, it's like a good crossword arriving on my doorstep, because I can visualise it. I can see a pattern come through even before I see the picture, and just read it through, and I can say, well, that's not right, and then I'll look at the photograph and double check. But crochet language is like a language to me, it really is, and that's what I love about it.
Hello and welcome to Making Stitches. I'm Lindsay, a lifelong crafter, a crochet designer and journalist, and Making Stitches podcast gives me the chance to speak to fascinating creative people and share their stories with you. I do hope you enjoy listening to this creative chat today. Now, I first came into contact with Jane through some crochet design work I was doing for a magazine commission. Jane is one of those amazing people who can spot an error in a pattern and put it right. I have to admit, that's one area of design I don't enjoy. I have been known to put off checking patterns much in the same way that children put off doing their homework until the very last possible minute. I love the creative side, but the maths of it just doesn't fill me with joy. Hence the need for people like Jane. Jane has long been a crochet teacher. She has tech-edited crochet books, as well as Inside Crochet Magazine and Disney Crochet Magazine too. Jane ended up checking a few of my patterns earlier this year, and I asked whether she'd like to join me on the podcast to talk about her work. I was thrilled that she said yes. She started by telling me all about her creative past Jane has been making throughout her life.
As far as I can remember, I was crocheting and knitting and using bits of fabric from quite a young age, 10 or younger, I don't know. Did it with my mum, or she showed me. It was always something to relax to and do. Crochet and knitting were even Stevens. Fabric as well. I had a proper job as well. You have to, don't you?
Yes, sadly.
To pay the mortgage. So my proper job was computer programming and analyst, and lecturing to graduates on COBOL. So that was my proper job. And then obviously you've got family life as well comes into it. So I did a lot of making clothes. If we talk about the fabric, not necessarily about the fabric. I crocheted a pink trouser suit, which I meant to get down to hold up for you, but this isn't visual anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I've still got the crocheted pink trouser suit with bell bottoms that I used to wear. I knitted a Fair Isle bell bottom trouser cardigan suit, long sleeve cardigan, just to give you an example really. And I made a lot of dresses, shift dresses and long dresses and whatever. So I don't know where I found the time, but I did. That was when I was not working with small children. So lots of patchwork after that, which was self-taught. And then I went on some courses. I didn't teach patchwork. I mean, the crochet just evolved more once I retired because I had more time to focus on it. You find the thing you really love, don't you? So crochet became the thing. And I really wanted others to learn and love crochet like I did. And I did actually teach crochet in Milford in the 80s in an evening class. So I was already, that's backtracking a bit to the 80s, but I'd already done teaching beginners for 2 years. In fact, the classes were so well supported that I did it twice a week for 2 years. So that was fun. Anyway, so when I retired, I just wanted to, we moved down to Lewis. You know Lewis?
Yes.
And I went down and saw the lady in the patchwork dog and basket and got myself a little half a day a week job in the patchwork shop because I was doing that in Molesey. And then very quickly we got talking and she wanted to run some workshops. I said, well, I'll do your crochet one. So that's how my crochet workshops worked from when I retired. And I taught down there her shop was in the Needlemakers. Do you know Lewis?
I don't know it particularly well, no.
There's a big old building there in the middle called Needlemakers. It was a surgical needle factory. And then it became this complex of different shops. Lovely. If you ever go down there, it's worth going in there, all these little independent shops. Anyway, so we lived there for 3 years. And when we came back to Kingston, I had started my classes back up at creative quilting. I teach crochet at all levels in my workshop. I work on the basis, I don't give them a project that everybody's got to do the same. They bring what they want to do to the workshop. They let me know what they want to do, and I teach them or help them in their own projects. So that's the way I run it. And then everybody learns from everybody else's projects, and it works really well. The first one I ran, which was, they then moved into advanced, really. In fact, now they know as much as I do, but they still, we still find things out together. We meet in my house and one of the other girls' house alternate weeks now as a group, which is nice.
Lovely.
And we go on outings to wool shops.
Oh.
Here's the next wool shop we're going to go to. And we have a day out and go to a wool shop and have lunch. So that's brilliant. So that's what we do there. The patterns I design and make are for the workshop. So we make something out of everything that we teach, or I teach rather. So with a beginner, they will actually make a little purse. They don't have to make it all, but they've got the first few rows of it because we might not get to making it all in a 2-hour session. But they have an object in mind and not just making little bits of crochet you don't know what to do with. I've done sampler behind this laptop, whole pile of my samples. I've done sampler of stitches, and I developed this for them. That's just to show you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's 36 squares of different squares.
Fabulous.
And with an idea that you can go on and make a scarf from them. You make them into a square first, make the sampler, but they're all multiples of stitches, so you could go on into a blanket, a scarf, or cushion, or whatever. So use them as basis. So I don't sell my patterns outside the workshop because they're normally workshop patterns, ones that I teach them and work through with them. There might be things I want to tweak, so I never actually sell them. But having said that, this I have got together as a booklet, and it's a download, and I have been selling it initially, quite a number of copies. I think it was in excess of 50 plus. I didn't even count them. Wow. But it was good. It worked really well, and they still go back to them now. I see them sitting there with their book. I'm like, I want to do this, in a scarf or whatever. So that's very good. I've also been a great fan of corner to corner.
Yes.
As you can see behind,
yes,
that was
I was just going to
say the one you see, and this one hasn't been. I use this in the workshop, and there again, they get a chart and a bit of a lesson from me how to do it. But they can do they can do corner to corner. Some of them. We haven't really gone into that yet. Be a bit late for Christmas unless we hurry up with that one.
Well, our paths crossed through your tech editing work that you do, because you were tech editing some patterns that I designed. So can you tell me a little bit about how you ended up going into the tech editing side?
Right, that is me now. Yes, I started tech editing by working closely with Nikki Trench. Have you heard of Nikki Trench?
I have indeed, yes.
I'm sure you have. She lived down in Lewes, not far from me. I don't think that was why we got together. It was nothing to do with me living close, but I'm not quite sure how it happened. But she was designing books with Seco Books, and she asked them to use me when doing her books. I think we had met up before. I mean, it's such a long time ago now. And they agreed. So I did a number of books with her. And it wasn't just getting the patterns like I do now to tech edit. It was also she'd get me to make up samples for her book. So she'd sketch out the pattern. She'd want me to tech edit it and make up some of the samples, not all of them. And she'd actually send me the samples by post. So I was checking the pattern against the sample, which is not what I do at the moment. I check the pattern against the photos. Quite happy to do either way round. So my name is in some of her books, some of her early books, as the pattern checker. But she's made some lovely books and continued to do that. But now that moved on into approaching Inside Crochet, and I've worked with them for, I can't remember, quite a few years, and I've had a patterns in there couple a year, 3 a year maybe since then. And so I get patterns from them each month, 3, maybe 4 patterns. And then actually, yes, the Hatchett's Disney Crochet magazine approached me about a year ago, and they had been recommended to me by Nikki Trench. I think they'd asked Nikki Trench, and she said, "Oh, why don't you ask Jane?" So I've been heavily involved with that, as you know, for this last year, and so it goes on because there's still more coming. So that's brilliant. Absolutely. So that's quite a it's a busy job. It's not one I don't like. It's one I really love, because to me, getting a pattern through the post, or of a crochet pattern that needs looking at, because I check it for their lingo as well as whether the pattern actually works, and then contact the designer if it's not working and just check with them my changes. I never make a change like that without going back to them. But to me, it's like a good crossword arriving on my doorstep, because I can visualize it. I can see a pattern come through even before I see the picture, and just read it through, and I can say, well, that's not right, and then I'll look at the photograph and double check. But crochet language is like a language to me. It really is, and that's what I love about it. So yes, I love my technical editing, so long may that reign.
That's fascinating to hear, because that's something that I find really hard, the pattern checking and trying to make sense of the language of the crochet.
Yes,
I struggle with that. I'm not particularly mathematical, and perhaps your background in computing and such like helps you in that regard. So it's fascinating to see your face just light up at the thought of looking at patterns, because mine doesn't.
I get some through the thing, like, I must start it. No, I don't have to start it now. Have a quick look. Yes, well, talk about the maths. Yes, you see, the maths is there with assembler programming, particularly because assembler is a machine language. COBOL is a language above it. So yes, I was doing assembler right in the systems program. So yes, maths is very close to my heart. And always make them laugh in the workshop. Have you counted? You one stitch out. You're supposed to count after every row. Don't lose a stitch. And the other thing is, I have people coming to me to the workshop who can't read patterns. I was picking up on something you said, and they can crochet somewhat, but they can't read a pattern properly. So a lot of it is teaching people how to read a pattern, because they are so difficult. I mean, you pick up an American pattern, you don't know, do you? Unless you know that their DC,
yes.
I have to think about this before I say it, their DC is our treble. And Absolutely. The only clue you can have in that, if you look at a pattern and you're not sure and it's full of DCs, is this a DC or treble? If you look at the beginning of the row, if it's 3 chain, you know it's a treble. It's American, and it means a treble. And then the other way of knowing is if it's got double crochet in their pattern, it'll be SC. So you have those 2 big clues, but it doesn't necessarily help you wade your way through an American pattern. I'm being a bit unfair there. They are the same, really, other than that, I suppose. But there are other patterns. People will take patterns down from the internet, and haven't got a problem with that, but they are not necessarily correct or very well written. Somebody will come to me, I've got this lovely pattern and I can't make it work. And I'll say, well, there's this and this, that's why. And we work through it. But yes, but having said that, there are mistakes in magazines that are published as well. I came across one the other day, which I will be nameless, but yes. So one of the class was doing that, and there was a stitch missing, which was the key to it. So But I love doing that.
Looking for the needle in the haystack.
That's right. See what's wrong. I read through and I think, oh yeah, that's not right. And it's just, yeah.
I have to say, I in my early days of, I learnt crochet as a child, and then in my sort of adult life, when I went back to it, it was by looking at, I retaught myself by watching YouTube videos, so I didn't follow a pattern with that. But then when I got into downloading patterns off the internet and stuff, I did come unstuck quite a few times with not knowing the difference between the UK terms and the American terms. And I think that is quite a common issue that people stumble across when they're quite new to it.
Yes, that's true. If you go on the YouTube, so many of them aren't good in the way that when you look at it, you don't see it from the right angle. They're not showing you from the right angle. They're good because the likes of you and I can look at it and work out what they're doing. But for a beginner, they're not, because you need to be that right angle. So I still think the sit by Nelly approach, as they say, is the best way to learn. But obviously there's not enough people around to teach you. But yes, there is one person who I recommend on YouTube. I think she's very good, is Bella Coco. And she is amazing. And I recommend her to my students, definitely, because that's who they can go to in between our workshops, although they're always in touch with me by message and whatever. And we have a WhatsApp where they can show and tell in between the lessons and be in touch with everybody. So it's a very, very friendly workshop I run. But we are limited to 6 people because of the size of the room. But that's fine. It's not a problem.
Sounds wonderful. What do you think it is about crochet that makes you so enthusiastic about spreading the love? And because you are evangelical about it by running your classes and everything that you do.
Oh gosh, that's a good question, isn't it? I think it's easy to take everywhere. It's good for mindfulness. I know if I'm stressed, which I think we all are at some stage, sometimes I'm constantly stressed, but if you sit down and do some crochet, it takes your whole mind over, because you're counting for a start. You have to count, follow the pattern. But even if you're following your own pattern, you're concentrating. It occupies your hands. In a way, well, I think knitting probably does a similar thing. It's a long time since I've done any knitting. But yes, I would think knitting. But I think with crochet, you get more variety of what you can do. You can make flowers and small items and amigurumi and all those sort of things far easier than with knitting with 2 needles. So I don't know whether that answers your question. I don't know.
I would say
I think because I enjoy it so much and I find it so relaxing and such an addiction, I want everybody else to get addicted. I think that's true to say. And there's a few people around this area that have copied me, definitely.
You have spread the love, that's for sure.
I have spread the love, yes. I love the love.
You're listening to Making Stitches, a podcast celebrating creative crafts and inspiring makers. This podcast is supported by the Making Stitches shop on Etsy, where you can find Making Stitches podcast tote bags, badges and stitch markers, along with a few of my crochet patterns for sale too. Just search for Making Stitches shop on Etsy. Now back to more creative chat.
My designs are inspired by colour and yarn and stitch. So when we have our trips to the wool shop, the girls and I, although they've closed a lot of them now, so it makes it much harder, I will be inspired by a ball of wool and try several things and what am I going to do with this? And that's how my design happens. Or a stitch. I might think, oh, I love that stitch, I'll do it in that stitch. And patterns I submit, when you get from a magazine, you've had this, you get, oh, this is the colour chart that we've colour board that you can look at, and we want these sort of subjects, and send us a sketch and everything. Well, I send them the finished item because I don't work that way round. I work the other way round. Never worked that way round. The finished item often fits the subject, so that's fine. Yes. And the other thing, Just Hands on TV, have you heard about them?
No, I haven't.
Just Hands on TV is started up. Oh, Val will kill me for this because I can't remember how long ago now. But she owns the creative quilting shop. She was the one that started it all up. And that's where I used to get my courses and that. Anyway, she's now heavily involved in Just Hands -on.tv. And you subscribe to it monthly, and there are videos on how to do all sorts of patchwork, because she's a patchwork queen. And she asked me, it was pre-COVID, just pre-COVID, would I do some crochet videos on her with her. So we've had 2 or 3 filming sessions, and you can't see my videos unless you're a member, unfortunately, but they are on there. But there is a taster available. You can go onto their site and not be a member and see some tasters, and all the best bits, probably, the best angles. And they're also on YouTube, I discovered. You type in Jane Czaja, Czaja, and I come up with some YouTube tasters of those videos. So, yes, that's another arm for her, and the knitting.
Yes.
The knitting's not mine, but yes. Oh, and I've just remembered, I've just started as if I haven't got enough to do. I went to the library and said, how about me starting up a sort of crochet knit chat group, not a knit and natter, but a crochet chat. So I put knit in there as well, because I can knit, although I don't do that anymore. So that started the second Saturday of this month, September, 1.5 hours at Kingston Library. And it's going to be the second Saturday of every month up till Christmas, and then we see how it's going.
Oh, wonderful.
But that'd be nice,
I can put links to that in the show notes for this, so if you've got people listening who are local to you,
yes,
they can
I can
pop
send
along.
you the little poster photograph that they did. You can, if that is something you can
absolutely.
post. So yes, that follows me wanting to share my crochet with everybody. Not let anybody escape. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a neighbour, she'd been saying for ages, I want to go to crochet and I haven't got time. And I pinned her down in the summer holidays. Oh, I'm not sure I can do this, but she did. She did it in 2 hours. She'll probably listen to this podcast. In 2 hours, she was away. She doesn't need me anymore.
Wonderful.
Which is brilliant.
So you were saying before that you get inspired by colour or the texture of a yarn. What kind of things do you design?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I design the corner-to-corner pictures. I might have exhausted those now, as much as I always do a certain size. And somebody was saying to me the other day, when are you going to do another topic? I tried to do autumn, but I couldn't come up with enough squares, and then I got onto something else. I have about 5 or 6 or 7 projects going at a time. I'm trying very hard to go back to some of them and use up some of my yarn, but it's so difficult. For example, I saw a cardigan that I liked in crochet, which I started off the way they did, but I'm not doing it the way they did. I change it as I go along. And that was some super chunky yarn, which I bought in a sale to, I think it was about 5 or 6 balls, to make a baby blanket sometime, because it's lovely. Anyway, I was looking around my room and I thought, I think I'll make a cardigan with that. So when I saw that pattern, that would do well for the cardigan. So I want to finish the back of the cardigan, see how many balls it takes, and see whether I can get some more on the internet, which I think I can. I looked it up, but I don't know how many. Not sure that answers your question. I don't know. I bought this yarn, which is marble, I think, and it just seemed right to do a circle with it, to bring out.
Yes.
I think I design what brings out the colours in the right place. And because this is a varied yarn, and I know people on podcasts can't see me, but the colours that come will come so that it gives it a nice circle. I went for, I mean, my patterns aren't necessarily unique. Some of them are. I love some of the granny square pattern, granny stitch patterns. I'll correct myself. And I skirt around those for new ideas. And the rectangle square, well, it's not a square, is it? The rectangle rather than a square blankets are lovely. I think when I was making triangles, I would think what I could do with them. And one of the patterns in Inside Crochet was the triangles, the 6 triangles that go together to make a hexagon cushion, and I put bobbles on the end. So, but I didn't set out to put bobbles on the end of each corner, but I did. And as I say, it evolves as I progress. I get inspired by, I've got a lot of the Stitchcraft colours there behind you when we're talking, and that inspires me. I've got them colour coded, and I'll look over there and think, oh yes, those go together. Set them out, leave them there, come back to them a couple of weeks later, and do something. At the moment I'm making, I finished my goddaughter's one. She's just turned 19. And she's off travelling at the moment, gone to Cyprus, but she'll be back for her blanket. I finished hers. And then my godson, her brother, was 15 this week, and I've made him one for Christmas as well, using the same yarn but in a different colour. And I'm doing squares there, and I was inspired for those by the jewel spun, which was in Inside Crochet, called Colours of the Day. And that was a particularly good shade that I chose because it could give me colours of the day. This is amazing how I'm playing with 2 of the other colours. I think I need something like 81 squares. I've done the squares bigger just to change them, make a bit of a change from the other one, so I'm not doing the same thing. So I've done 81 for Daisy and 81 for Jack, and they're going to have a nice big blanket for Christmas. And then I'm making a different one for their stepsister, so I didn't want her to be left out. So that's my big mission before Christmas. Jack's, I've got, how many more? I've got 4 more squares to do. Yippee!
Oh, you're nearly there.
So by Sunday I can take over the dining room table on Sunday and lay them out, because jewel spun is a very interesting yarn. Yes, and then I can finish the other one. I've done lots of squares for that, and then that'll be there. I think they'll be done by Christmas.
Wonderful.
But I'm dying to get up to something else. I really am, which hence start the what did I start last night? I can't even remember what I started last night, but the cardigan I'm on at the moment. And just get on to something else, but not necessarily go back to some of the projects that are unfinished. Start something new first.
That is so reassuring, Jane, because I'm pretty much the same. I find it very hard to also repeat things. I don't know about you. Obviously you're doing 3 blankets, but I find if I do a pattern, I don't really want to revisit it and do it again. I want to, because there's so much possibility and there's so many, wonderful patterns out there already, as well as the creativity that we have ourselves. It seems a shame to double up on something, really.
I agree with you on that. And I think the thing about the jewel spun is I've chosen 2 different shades and they're coming up different. And because the square each time comes up looking different, I find that gives me the variety. So I'm doing the granny treble square for those. Well, like the Colours of the Day, which is in Inside Crochet. But yes, so at the moment, I know what I was doing. One of the girls at the workshop picked up in Simply Crochet squares, where you make 16 squares into a little purse made out of scraps, and she did that, and I thought, oh, that's lovely. And I took it to my other workshop, and somebody there is doing it as well, because it's a good little 3-round. It's not really a granny square, there's some other little clusters in there, so that's taught her a lot. So I came home that day, and I thought, this is thinking laterally, you see. I thought, I've got those squares up there in a box. I've got roughly the right number. They were leftovers from me making a baby blanket ages ago, a long time ago. I've still got the baby blanket. But I'd made it up again, some other squares in different colours. But then, like you say, because they were similar, I got fed up with it. So I found I got 16. Isn't that amazing? That's Fabulous. All I needed. I've made this bag, which is bigger and different because I've changed how you finish it off, and I've given it a handle, and I've got a little shoulder purse. And then I thought, I think there's a different colour range up there. I don't think I've got 16, but I had 14, so I had to finish 2 of them. I've crocheted them together, so I'm on a mission to have 2 bags.
Oh, it was written in the stars then, if you opened the box and found 16 there waiting. It was just waiting for you, the right moment.
Well, I've been looking at those now and again. When I tidy up my room, which is not that often. Well, I don't keep it that untidy, but when I'm pulling out samples all the time, I have to have a tidy up to get them back in the same spot, and also so I can see where they are. I see that box, and you know how you've got something on the shelf and you think, not going there. Pandora's box, you know what's in there. And sometimes I've looked at it and thought, I must be able to do something with 16, can't quite see what. And then suddenly, from somebody, that's how I get inspired, somebody doing something else. Yes, I can make a purse from that and actually use it. So, and I love bright colours. So there's a sort of pink, one of them is a pinky colour. And the other one is soft and creamy, which would be nice in the summer, when we get the summer back again next year.
Fabulous. Oh, Jane. Oh, it's been so inspiring listening to you talk about your love of crochet. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. It's been fascinating and so enlightening to see, your love of the maths behind the beauty of crochet as well.
Yes, definitely. That is a basis for mine. And also, if you have time, if you look on Just Hands, my initial interview with Val is on there, and you'll get another feel for some of my projects. She shows, because it's visual there as well. So you'll see some of the projects and any background I've forgotten to tell you. Fabulous.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Jane. I really appreciate your time, because I know I can see you've told me how busy you are.
That's all right. You're very, very welcome.
Thank you again, Jane, for sharing your love and enthusiasm for crochet with me. If you'd like to see some of Jane's work, you can find her links in the show notes for this episode, and you can also find the details for Jane's Crochet and Chat group that she runs at Kingston Library. I do hope you enjoyed listening today. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. I really do enjoy making them, and it means a lot to know that enjoyment's being shared with you. That's all for this time. I will be back again in 2 weeks' time with another inspiring creative chat. Until then, though, do look after yourself and enjoy your crafting.